Welcome to Rave and Rant, where we praise the praiseworthy and roast the rest. Each episode, we dive into reviews and tips on businesses, health, products, and services that matter to you. Now, let's meet our dynamic hosts. Julian, a seasoned entrepreneur and tech enthusiast who keeps you ahead of the curve. And Olivia, our health and wellness expert with unfiltered takes on the latest trends. Together, they'll help you navigate what's worth your time and what's not. So sit back, relax, and get ready for an episode packed with honest opinions and valuable insights. This is Rave and Rant.
All right, let's dive deep into smart home HVAC and specifically these Flair Smart Vents. You know, those hot and cold spots you were talking about in your house. Maybe these vents could be the solution. We've got the product page right here from Amazon and some of Flair's own materials ready to go.
You know, this whole Flair system is really interesting. It's all about personalized comfort. We've got the vents themselves, but then you've got the Flair bridge and the Flair puck and an app to control everything.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up a sec. What exactly are these Flair Smart Vents? Like some crazy futuristic thing that beams cool air right to my face?
Well, not exactly. Pretty innovative, though. They basically replace your regular AC vent covers, but the catch is they're smart. They can open and close automatically based on the temperature and your settings.
So no more cranking the AC just to cool down one room. That'd be amazing. But how does all this magic actually work?
That's where the bridge and the puck come in. So the bridge connects all your vents to your home's Wi-Fi. That way you can control everything from anywhere using the Flair app.
All right, that's pretty neat. But what about the puck? What does that do?
Think of the puck as like a temperature sensor. It goes in each room and gives really accurate readings. So the vents know exactly when to open and close to keep the temperature just right. Almost like a personal thermostat for every single room.
Wait, so I would need to replace my thermostat?
Nope. That's the best part. It works with whatever thermostat you already have, even an old school one.
Phew, that's good. Not ready to say goodbye to my old thermostat just yet. But speaking of getting rid of things, how hard is it to install these smart vents? Will I need to call someone?
Well, Flair says it's super easy, in their marketing at least. They say you just pop out your old vent cover and put in the Flair vent. No drilling or wiring needed.
Sounds a little too good to be true. Always a bit skeptical of those easy installation claims. But let's say it is that simple. Once the vents are in, how do I control them?
That's where the Flair app comes in. It's like your control center for everything. You can change the temperature in each room, set schedules, even mark rooms as inactive when you're not using them. Saves energy. It even works with voice assistants like Alexa and Google Assistant.
Wow, so I could just tell my AC vent to chill out if my room's too cold. That's living in the future. But all this control and convenience, it makes me wonder, how much energy will I actually save? Flair claims you can save up to 30% on your energy bills. Is that realistic?
I mean, it definitely has potential, especially that 7-day scheduling feature. You can program the vents to close in rooms you're not using. No more wasting energy on empty spaces.
So, like if I'm at work all day, I can set my bedroom vents to close and then open right before I get home. My house would know my schedule. Okay, hate to be a downer here.
But what about those customer reviews on Amazon? Some people mention having connectivity issues.
Yeah, connectivity is a valid concern with any smart home device. It sounds like Flair might have some work to do there. People mention vents going offline and having trouble connecting to the app. Ooh, that's frustrating. And a few people even said the setup wasn't that easy either, like connecting all the devices and getting the app to work. Not quite the drop it in and go that Flair promises.
Right, and some complaints about replacing batteries, especially for ceiling vents. Imagine having to climb a ladder every time.
Yeah, not ideal. So we've got potential for saving energy and personalized comfort, but also some red flags about connectivity, setup, and batteries. What are your initial thoughts?
I think Flair Smart Vents have a lot of cool features, but those negative reviews are definitely something to think about. We need to dig deeper and see if those are common problems or just a few isolated cases.
For sure. And we need to figure out if this is the right solution for you specifically.
Exactly. What are your thoughts so far?
Honestly, I'm intrigued by the idea of saving energy and finally getting even temperatures in my house. But those connectivity issues are a bit concerning. And the installation process sounds like it could be a headache after reading some of those reviews.
Yeah, I get it. It's great that you're thinking about all of that. Let's move on to those customer reviews and see what we can learn from other people's experiences.
Okay, let's dig into these customer reviews and see what we can find. Real people, real experiences.
Yeah, customer reviews can be super helpful. They often show you the stuff the marketing doesn't.
Totally. So what are people loving about these Flair Smart Vents?
A lot of the positive reviews are from folks with multi-story homes, people who always have trouble with different temperatures on different floors. They say Flair is a game changer, like finally getting their whole house to a comfortable temperature.
No more upstairs sauna and downstairs icebox. That's awesome. Did anyone mention anything about actually saving energy? Flair claims you can save up to 30% on your energy bill, but I'm curious if people are really seeing that.
There are definitely some reviews about lower energy bills, especially people who are using the scheduling features. One person even said their energy company sent them a letter about how much less energy they were using.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Sounds like those scheduling features really do work. Okay, but we have to talk about the connectivity issues. How many people are complaining about that?
It's not everyone, but it does seem to be a recurring problem. People mention vents going offline or having trouble connecting. Some even have to reset the bridge all the time, which sounds annoying.
Ugh. Yeah, that wouldn't be fun. And remember those setup problems some people mentioned. How common does that seem to be? I'm not the most tech-savvy person, so a complicated setup would not be good.
Yeah, there are enough negative reviews about setup to be a little concerned. It doesn't always seem to be as easy as Flair says.
That's too bad. What about those battery issues? Any more complaints about that?
Most of those seem to be from people with vents on their ceilings, not too happy about having to get a ladder out every few months to change batteries.
I can see why. It's like they went for style over practicality.
Yeah, that happens a lot with smart home devices. They look good, but maybe aren't so easy to use.
So we've got some great reviews about temperature control and saving energy, but also some worries about connectivity, setup, and batteries. What do you think? Are the benefits worth the risks?
That's the big question, right? We got to remember that online reviews are usually the extremes. People who either love it or hate it. It's important to look at the big picture.
True. So how do we figure out if Flair Smart Vents are right for our listeners?
It all depends on their needs and priorities. If you really need to fix those temperature imbalances, and you're okay with maybe having some tech issues, then Flair might be a good option.
But if you're mostly happy with your current setup and don't want to deal with complicated technology, maybe it's best to wait.
Yeah, exactly. And always do your own research. Don't just go by the customer reviews. Look for some independent tests and reviews from reliable sources.
Good advice. It's easy to get excited about a new gadget, but it's important to figure out if it really fits your life.
Definitely. And remember, Flair Smart Vents aren't the only option for smart HVAC. There are other things out there that might be better for you.
Ooh, that's a perfect transition. Let's talk about some of those other options. What else could help our listeners reach HVAC heaven?
Well, we can't forget about smart thermostats. They've become super popular, and for a good reason.
Yes, smart thermostats are great. But what about something even more high-tech? Something that will make our listeners feel like they're living in the future.
Well, there's some really interesting stuff happening with occupancy sensing technology. Imagine a system that uses sensors to know which rooms are being used, and then it automatically adjusts the airflow.
Wait, so my house would know when I'm in a room and keep it at the perfect temperature? That's incredible.
It's pretty amazing technology, and it's not just about comfort, it's about saving energy. No more wasting energy on empty rooms.
Love it. What else is there?
Another area with some cool advancements is zoning systems.
You mean those systems that divide your house into different heating and cooling zones? I've heard of them, but they always seemed kind of complicated and expensive.
Yeah, the old zoning systems could be a bit clunky, but the newer ones are way more sophisticated. They use AI and machine learning to control the temperature in each zone, based on real-time data and your preferences.
So basically, it's like having a personal climate control expert for every room in my house. Amazing.
It's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of research happening with geothermal heating and cooling that uses the Earth's temperature to heat and cool your home.
Whoa, that sounds super high-tech. Are we talking about a future where we don't need furnaces and AC units anymore?
It's definitely a possibility, but those technologies are still pretty pricey and hard to install. For most people, smart vents, smart thermostats, and maybe some of these new zoning systems are the best options right now.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. Flair Smart Vents, smart thermostats, occupancy sensors, even geothermal. That's a lot of info. Where do we go from here? How do our listeners use all this information to make the best decision for their homes?
That's the key question. You need to figure out what's important to you, what you need, and of course, your budget. Are you more concerned about comfort, saving energy, or both?
And how much are you willing to spend? Because these smart home upgrades can be pretty expensive.
Exactly. And don't forget about how comfortable you are with technology. Some of these systems are more complicated than others.
So we've given you the options, but now it's up to you, dear listeners. What's the next step on your journey to a perfectly climate-controlled home?
That's where the real deep dive begins.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Flair, smart vents, smart thermostats, occupancy sensors, even geothermal. It's like a whole world of HVAC upgrades out there. But before you get overwhelmed, let's take a minute to think about what we've learned.
It's easy to get excited about all this cool new tech, but the most important thing is figuring out what works for you.
Exactly. We don't want you to go buy a bunch of stuff and then realize it doesn't actually solve your problems. So what are the key questions our listeners should be asking themselves?
Well, first off, what are your biggest issues with your current HVAC system? Are you always fighting uneven temperatures? Are your energy bills crazy high? Or are you just looking for more comfort and convenience?
Right, so start by identifying the problem. What's next?
Think about how you live and the layout of your house. Got a multi-story home with temperature swings between floors? Spend a lot of time away from home, so scheduling is important.
Those are good points. And of course, we can't forget about the budget. Some of these upgrades can be a big investment.
Absolutely. Set a realistic budget and then do your research to find the best options within that range.
And speaking of research, don't just rely on the marketing hype. Dig into those customer reviews, read independent tests, maybe even talk to some experts.
Couldn't agree more. There's so much information out there. Use it to your advantage.
Okay, so we've identified the problem, considered our lifestyle and budget, and done our research. What's the last step?
This might sound a little deep, but think about your ideal home environment. What does comfort mean to you? What kind of atmosphere do you want to create? And how can technology help you get there?
I like that. It's not just about temperature. It's about creating a space that feels like home.
Exactly. And with all the advancements in HVAC technology, you have more control than ever before. You can really shape your home environment to be exactly what you want.
It's pretty amazing, right? We're not stuck with those old thermostats and drafty windows anymore. We can create homes that are comfortable, energy efficient, and good for the environment.
Definitely something to be proud of. So as we wrap up this deep dive into smart home HVAC, we want to leave you with one final thought.
Remember, there's no one perfect solution for everyone. What works for one person might not work for another.
Trust your gut, do your research, and choose the upgrades that will truly make your life better. Make your home a haven of comfort and efficiency.
And that's it for this episode. Happy heating and cooling, everyone.
That's a wrap for this episode of Rave and Rant. We hope you found our insights helpful and thought-provoking. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss out on our latest reviews and tips. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps us reach more listeners like you. Have a topic you'd like us to cover or something you want us to rave or rant about? Connect with us on social media or visit our website to share your suggestions. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring what's worth your time and what's not. This is Rave and Rant, where we praise the praiseworthy and roast the rest.